This is PJNET Live on our Super Bowl evening this evening. And we are glad to have all of you here with us in spite of the Super Bowl headwind. And I know that many of us are, watching the Super Bowl in the background. But meanwhile, we wanted to kick things off with a very special Twitter personality that we have here with us tonight. And he is known on Twitter as, you may want to write this down, PRDBLCK Now, what in the heck does that stand for? I think that would be Proud Black Republican. Is that the general idea?
Absolutely, that would be Proud Black Republican.
Okay, and I think you have your natural name on your Twitter bio, so it's okay if we call you John.
Yes, that'd be great, John King.
Okay, thanks. And now let me make some adjustments here real quick and see if I can't get this going a little better. There we go. John, you I guess you wanted to use Proud African American Republican, but maybe somebody else had already used that. Is that why you didn't do it?
Absolutely. Someone has already, used it. I feel that if I could have used, Proud African American, I could basically touch, a large scale community, because the liberals have been lying to that community for such a very long time. And, myself, being black, I just wanted to take the teachings of the conservatism to that community.
Mm-hmm. Well, now you've been on Twitter and you've got a message on Twitter to support Ted Cruz. What drew you to Ted Cruz?
Well, Ted Cruz is beyond measure the most. He's just the smartest man on the planet. I see him as a walking constitutionalist.
Mm-hmm.
He's articulate. He goes against the grain. He's hated by many on the Republican side, basically because he goes against the establishment.
Mm-hmm.
He's a go-getter, and that's what I love about Ted Cruz. He's a true conservative, and he means what he says, and he says what he means, and he gets the job done.
John,
Ted Cruz goes.
You say on the one hand that he cuts against the grain, and I think you're correct in that. But in another sense, he's consistent with the grain. He's consistent with the Constitution, and those who are not consistent with the Constitution, I would argue that they're cutting against the grain. What do you think?
Yeah, you're right. And when I say cut it against the grain, I mean cut it against the grain as far as the establishment grain, because the establishment, they're going one way, which is a moderate liberal way.
Mm-hmm.
And Ted Cruz goes against that basic grain. He's going to take them back to the Constitution when they're leading us from the Constitution. And this is why, the good old boys in Washington, D.C., this is why Ted Cruz is hated amongst them, because they want Ted Cruz to get in line, do what you're told, and then everything will be fine. Ted Cruz, on the other hand, is saying, no, we're going to follow the Constitution. We want to bring back the Reaganites, of the land. And this is what the establishment do not want. If we can get a moderate in there, a moderate Republican or an establishment Republican, and then, the cartel will be satisfied with that.
Now, John, when you do your political activism, do you primarily focus on social media? Do you do any live events? Do you travel? Do you tell us about your role in supporting the Cruz campaign?
Yes, I do social events and I do a lot of traveling. Basically, I want to go with the minority communities and the black communities as well.
Mm-hmm.
I met a couple of black teens, when I was doing some travels in Atlanta, and they were waiting outside when our function was over. So, I just took a few minutes of my time. I said, I want to talk to these guys and see where their head is at.
Mm-hmm.
So I mentioned, they asked me, what was I doing here? What was on the agenda for the night? And I said, I'm here to support Ted Cruz. And they say, well, who is Ted Cruz?
Really?
Absolutely.
Were they sincere? I mean, they literally did not know who Ted Cruz was?
No, being Democrats, being black teens, they did not know who Ted Cruz was, but they know who Obama was. They know who Hillary Clinton was.
Right.
Guys like that stays in, that lives in neighborhoods like that, they're born into liberalism. They're born Democrats, and this is all their parents and their grandparents want them to know, Democrats.
Right.
So, it takes someone like me who's going to actually break into that area to teach them conservatism, to look on the other side, to let them know that you have been lied to for so many years, for such a long time. The whole community, the whole black community, has been lied to. It's like they're forced to be Democrats. I think the Democrats have a system, from my perspective, and I think it's the quid pro quo system. And when I say that, I mean the quid pro quo system. They're talking, it's a system in which they want to interact with the black community. And here's how it goes. We give you something. We're going to give you food stamps. We're going to give you welfare. We're going to give you free housing. But in return, we want something from you. We want your freedom. We want your votes. So that's what I say. That's what I mean when I say the quid pro quo system. They want to give the black community something for free, but actually it's not free.
It's not free.
And something in return. We're the ones who have to pay for this. And the community don't really realize, what's happening here. They just want to keep you down, keep you dependent on the government.
Right. Right. John, when you're talking to young black men and women, I presume, how are you able to connect with them? I mean, you're older and you're a conservative, but you share the same ethnicity. Is that the bridge that you build upon, or are you trying to get ideological with them?
Well, both. That's basically the bridge I'm dealing with. And when they see me coming, when they see I have Tea Party Patriots on my tag, on my license plate, and also I had Ted Cruz signs, flags, you name it, I have it on my license tag. So when I get, I have my conservative shirts. Sometimes when I'm out in the communities, I have my Tea Party shirts on, and they're like, "Wow, the Tea Party is racist. What are you doing in there?" I'm saying, "Okay." I'm saying, "Okay, this is the reason why I'm here, because your mindset, your mindset basically has to change. When I start talking about conservatism, they have an open ear, they have an open mind, and they're listening to me, and they're like, we never was told this before." We were being lied to. We were being told, the Republicans are the racist party. Conservatism, they don't care about the black community. So, and they're taught this, from schools, with this liberal message now that the schools are teaching them, so they're learning not only at home, but actually in the school system as well. So it's going to take us conservative, to bring a different message to them. This is why this is my main focus, my main goals. And, I'm having fun with it. I'm teaching them, something different. They're hearing something different, and they're really tentative to this.
All right, so I get the impression that you're kind of targeting hostile territory, and you show up with your Cruz flags and your Tea Party T-shirt. I mean, you're going into a hostile environment. Have you ever been met with hostility?
Absolutely. I've received many threats. I've been called nasty names. I even had my daughter one time. I have a daughter. She's a college graduate. She's getting ready to go into the Coast Guard. So she said, and she came to me in tears, and she said, "Dad, it's not worth it. You need to stop this." Mm-hmm. I said, "Honey, I'm sorry." Because I told her about the threats. I had to make her aware of this. I told my family about the threats that I was receiving. And, my mom and my daughter approached me with this, and, they all got emotional. And I said, "I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry, Mom, but this is what I have to do. And if I have to die doing it, and then I die doing what I believe in." but I have to get this message across. I have got to do it. If and a but. And if anything happens, and then you guys are just gonna have to tell the story of what I'm doing out here.
So you're not taking the safe route, and this goes beyond enthusiasm. It actually goes to courage, because you're literally in some cases placing yourself in harm's way. And isn't it sad that we can't have a conversation about political ideology without it getting escalated to that point? I mean, it's funny because the progressives preach the gospel, of tolerance.
Absolutely.
How tolerant are they of you?
Oh my Lord, I don't know where to start. I really get mixed reactions. Before I go into these communities, I say a prayer. And I ask the cruise crew on Facebook and on Twitter, to keep me up in prayer, for when I go into these communities, I'm sure I'll be protected, and that's the way I feel, that I'm protected.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that gives me comfort. It gives me joy, to do that. So, I had this gentleman, I had this, I think he's like 28 years old. He's a black guy. He's a black gentleman. And he asked me to come and speak in his neighborhood, and they was going to have a cookout. So I said, okay, where do you live? So he gave me the place where he lived at, and I said, okay, we can do that. So, when I got there, it was like 10 people there, and I brought my Ted Cruz signs, and, like I said, they said they heard of Ted Cruz, but they really don't know what he stands for. They really don't know anything about him. They just know the folks on the Democrat side. And see, that's my concern. This has got to change. It's gonna take me plus more, to get this message across. So, and I'm saying that it's not a waste of time, because Eric, when I'm going out, some folks even want to go with me on my next mission. So, that's very encouraging. And I've been posting some pictures of my friends and family, through my travels when I go to Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, and I'm placing pictures and I'm posting it. Just letting the community know out here that there is a people, who want something different. There is a people who want to share something different. There's a people that want a different way in life. It's not all about the liberals, teaching and lying to this community, but they want to do better. And I'm out there to let them know, here, there's something better out there. There's a new way, and we should join forces and join the movement.
Well, John, I can't tell you how much we admire your enthusiasm, but also your courage. John, keep doing what you're doing. John, keep carrying those Cruise Crew flags, and keep being an advocate and a megaphone, for the conservative voice. We are behind you. I hope that you will make it a point before you go speak to groups that you will let us know to pray you up. And we appreciate you being, a spokesman and a champion for the conservative cause.
Absolutely, and thank you so much, Cruise Crew. I want to thank you guys so much. I love you guys. I consider all of you family. You're always behind me, and I'm always behind you on Twitter, whatever we might be doing. I just want to leave you with this: you can't lose with Ted Cruz. And I want you guys to stay the course, keep the momentum, stay prayed up, and let's get Cruz elected.